There's this really moving story from Edith Utet. A few years back, she was on WhatsApp with her aunt, just chatting, sharing some jokes.
Hmm.
And crucially, they both said, I really, truly love you. A week later, her aunt passed away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Edith was left thinking, would it have been different in person? Would they have talked about deeper things like comfort and healing, not just the silly jokes?
That's a heavy question.
It is. But she also said she was so, so grateful for those last precious, beautiful exchanges, even though they were digital. That chance to say, I love you.
It really captures the dilemma, doesn't it?
Exactly. And that's what brings us to our deep dive today, relationships in the digital age. We've got some fascinating material, personal stories like Edith's, some sharp analysis, even business strategies. It's all about how tech is, well, changing the game for our connections.
Right. And our mission here is really to unpack that,
Yeah.
to pull out the key insights from all these different viewpoints to help you navigate this because it is complex.
Yeah.
We're looking at this paradox, how technology can pull us closer, but also maybe push us apart sometimes, like in Edith's story. We want to help you figure out how to build real, meaningful relationships in the middle of all this digital noise.
So let's start with the obvious upside, the promise of it all. I mean, digital communication is convenient. It's fast.
Undeniably. Faster, easier, sometimes cheaper, like Edith Utet pointed out. And you can be really creative with it, too.
Yeah, and the Daily Times article really leans into this. They say the 21st century can boast of its tremendous increase in socialization and relationships, which is true in a way.
Compared to the past, absolutely.
Think about it. They mention how a beloved is available in visuals almost every moment of the day, though digitally.
Right, which is worlds away from, say, the poet Ghalib just longing for a quick look, or how Ahmed Ali wrote about barely being able to connect back then.
That constant digital presence, it changes things, doesn't it? Our expectations of connection, even what being there means.
It really does.
Yeah.
But that convenience, that promise, it has a flip side. A hidden cost, maybe.
You think so?
Well, Utet herself brings it up. She worries that while it's convenient, tech has also made us more detached and aloof when it comes to treasured human interactions.
Detached and aloof, that's strong.
Yeah, she talks about being addicted to our phones and devices. And because of that, we start to forget the value and depth of pure, uninterrupted human contact where all our senses are at play.
You mean like actually being with someone, the touch, the feel.
Exactly. The touch, see, hear, smell, even taste, she says.
Right.
When that's gone or mediated through a screen, something gets lost. It's not just the senses, maybe it's the expectation. We start valuing convenience over, I don't know, the richness of actual presence.
And she says this builds invisible walls.
That's her phrase. Invisible walls that lead to confusion, miscommunication, misunderstandings, neglect, lack of or diminished trust, and wrong assumptions. Because so much context is missing online.
And you can see how that plays out personally. Utet says, so many precious moments and memories are lost when we fail or neglect to come into physical contact. She sees people taking important relationships of utmost value to chance, just assuming, oh, we'll see each other soon.
And Miriam Mapako pointed this out too, right? That people take loved ones for granted, thinking there's always more time for bonding. But time is running out.
It's that digital illusion again. Like time is infinite because connection is instant. But it's not.
It's definitely not. And zooming out from the personal, the Daily Times piece really digs into this on a broader scale. They argue that even though we communicate more, the quality has changed.
How so?
They say it's weakened social bonding and created a transformed and mutated form of social relationships. Often they argue it's more in shallowness than depth.
Shallowness.
Yeah. And they draw this really interesting contrast with the past. Think about SMS, text messages, audio or video shots. They see those as having very little genuineness, being more fleeting.
Compared to
Letters to the Beloved, sometimes written with blood. Things became historical records, showing deep sincerity.
Wow. Okay. That's a dramatic comparison. Written in blood.
It is dramatic, but it makes a point about permanence and intention. They even float this fascinating idea that maybe less communication in the past sometimes led to stronger, more solid and impeccable relationships.
How could less communication do that?
Well, the idea is that the absence of constant contact might have forced a deeper kind of sincerity, a love that lasted for years, because it wasn't based on fleeting updates, but on profound intention and patience.
That's counterintuitive, but I kind of see it. It required more effort, more imagination, maybe.
Exactly. And those invisible walls we talked about.
Yeah.
The sources suggest they don't just affect personal bonds, they scale up.
Society level.
Yeah, the Daily Times again. They point out that instead of making us feel safer, psychologically or politically, digital communication has often infringed upon our privacy.
Oh, definitely. Privacy is a huge issue.
And exposing private lives like that. It damages relationships, creates fear about making actual human-to-human connections, and then there's the really dark side, the dreadful consequence,
Yeah,
like bullying and blackmail.
right? That's sadly common. So, privacy erosion, fear. What else?
With something else interestingly connected to is the loss of old support systems.
What do you mean?
The Daily Times notes that in the past, the support mechanism existed at home. You had nannies and grannies who could counsel people, help keep things from falling apart.
Okay, the village helping raise the child, sort of?
Kind of, but now
Yeah,
we have apps and apps for resolving conflicts, traumas, and tensions.
but
But to our utter dismay, it has rather increased the same vigorously. So the digital solutions aren't actually solving the core problems, maybe even making them worse.
that is sobering. Replacing human support with apps and finding things get worse.
Okay, so given all these challenges, what's the way forward? How do we build stronger relationships now?
Well, this is where Michelle Ray's insights come in. She frames it really powerfully around something a leader named Peter said. When you take care of relationships, you take care of everything.
But take care of relationships, take care of everything. I like that. Me too.
Mm-hmm.
And Ray argues that relationships are what keep the world turning. Even with all the algorithms and automation, she says, the human touch remains a powerful force.
And this applies in the workplace too, right? Not just personal life. Businesses must be struggling with this.
Hugely. Especially now with hybrid work and everything.
Yeah.
Ray talks about the challenge with Gen Z staff sometimes being stuck behind desks with admin tasks, missing out on face-to-face time with colleagues and clients.
So it's on leaders to fix that.
She argues it's a primary leadership responsibility, finding ways to create relationship-building opportunities, even when people aren't physically together all the time. And she lays out some specific ways to do it.
Okay, what's the first big one?
First up is building trust. She says it's always crucial, but maybe even more challenging online. It takes real effort.
So how do you build trust online?
Open communication and genuine interaction become the currency. You have to be intentional about it.
That sounds like it applies personally too, not just in business. Genuine interaction. What else?
Then there's enhancing collaboration and innovation. Good relationships are the fuel, she says. Even if teams are spread out geographically, strong connections boost synergy and creativity.
Okay, so connection fuels teamwork. Makes sense. What about dealing with customers?
That's key too. A customer-centric approach. It's the human element again, tuning online transactions into actual relationships. That's where customer loyalty comes from, an emotional connection.
So businesses need to show they genuinely care, even through a screen.
Precisely. They have to convey genuine care through a digital interface.
Not always easy. And are we just measuring clicks then? Or something else?
That's her next point. Measuring success beyond metrics. Relationships add a qualitative component. It's not just about numbers, but the depth and longevity of relationships.
Quality over just quantity.
Okay.
And the final piece.
The big one is humanizing the digital experience. She calls it a strategic imperative. Fight against those impersonal, transactional vibes by personalizing things through caring communication, understanding, and satisfying individual needs. Basically, making sure the tech serves the human connection, not the other way around.
Okay, so bringing this back to you listening now, Edith Utet's advice seems really practical here. She urges us to exercise caution, discipline, and due care in finding that balance.
It's about being mindful, isn't it?
Yeah, she says, constantly consider the impact and effect of technology on your relationships and actively look for ways to use it to build deeper connections, share real interests with people you care about.
And it's hopeful, too. Across the sources, there's this sense that we can find a good path. The Daily Times asks us to devise some way out that lets us have sincere bonding and actual human relationships for happiness, not just this electronic existence.
But we don't have to go backwards, just forwards, better.
Exactly. And Michelle Ray sums it up so well. The digital and human experiences can coexist happily.
So after all this, what's the big picture for you?
Well, we've seen it's complicated, right? This digital age has got these contradictions. It makes connection easy, yet can lead to feeling detached, maybe even shallow.
It's definitely a mixed bag. A double-edged weapon, as one source put it.
But the core message seems really consistent, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Relationships come first. Always. In your personal life, at work, everywhere. That genuine connection, building trust, having empathy, making space for the human touch, that's what really matters. It's what leads to real success and, honestly, happiness.
Yeah. So this deep dive, it seems to show that the future isn't about ditching technology altogether. That's probably impossible anyway.
Right.
It's more about being really conscious, really intentional about how we use it,
Yeah.
making sure it serves deep human interaction rather than undermining it. It's about reclaiming that quality.
Mastering that art of intentional presence, even digitally. Exactly. So, as you think about all this, here's something to maybe chew on. How can you personally design your digital life differently? How can you actively shift the focus from the quantity of interactions online to the quality of your human connections, making sure they're built on real presence, not just fleeting convenience?